Hi everyone, Ma'am Navarro here to discuss about Quarter 3, Module 1, which is the literary approaches, which are structuralism and formalism. For this video, I will be discussing more about these literary approaches. So what can you expect from this module? You have here your objectives, wherein you are going to define structuralism and formalist approach, and you can differentiate structuralism and from formalist approach, and likewise, you can critique a literary selection based on the following on structuralism and formalism. Now, before I discuss about literary criticism, let me first discuss literature. What is literature? So, literature encompasses a lot of things. It can be stories, novels, poems, and etc. So, how we read about literature depends on our perspective. Likewise, perspectives differ from age, from your experiences, from your environment. Likewise, you can read a particular story from a different literary approach. So you can critique that particular selection. So here, we have here literary criticism. What is literary criticism? It is the evaluation, analysis, description, or interpretation of literary works. So you have here the word criticism. You critique that particular literary selection. It can be a story, a novel, a poem, a song. It can be anything, any literary piece. So here you evaluate and analyze this particular type of work. So literary criticisms have different approaches. So what we'll be discussing here will be more about formalism and structuralism. Take note, there are a lot of literary approaches, but for this video, for this particular module, we will first discuss more on formalism and structuralism. What is formalism? It is an approach that studies text as a text. It views literature as a unique form of human knowledge that needs to be examined on its own terms. Likewise, it views as a literary work based on its elements, which are characters, setting, plot, point of view, theme, and symbolism. Basically, formalism is wherein you really study the text as the text itself. You identify the characters, the setting, the theme, the plot, and the point of view of the story. So you read it as it is written. So to review again, what are the elements of a short story or the elements of a story? So you have characters, setting, plot, point of view, theme, and symbolism. So these elements can be found already in the story. So when you use the formalist approach, you use the elements to identify which are the characters, the setting, plot, point of view, and etc. So you use the elements in reading, or if you are going to use the formalism or formalist approach, you use the elements of a short story. So you have here, this is based on your module. You have here the characters, a person or even an animal who takes part in the action. Characters can be static or dynamic. Okay, static meaning a character who does not change over time, or dynamic, the character whose personality changes over time. Likewise, in character, you also have the protagonist or the antagonist and the side characters. Next, you have the setting, refers to the time and place the story takes place. This includes the weather condition and social condition. So here you have here from your module also. Can you tell when each of this picture was taken? Where do you think they were captured? Can you tell what is going on? So from here, you can see that the first picture is taken during this pandemic. It was captured in a hospital, whereas the second one, which is the black and white here, is during the Spanish flu in 1918. It was taken also in the hospital, so at least 100 years have passed, but you can see that there is also the similarity basically. So both show the situation during a pandemic. So that is basically an example for setting. Next, you have here your plot. Has something to do with the whole sequence of the story. So it shows the beginning of the conflict, how the character faces the conflict, and the effect of the character's action toward the conflict or how the conflict is solved. Likewise, also plot is involved with the conflict basically. So a story must have a conflict. So here also you have the point of view. This is the angle of the story is told. So is it in the first person, second person, or third person? Who speaks in the story? So whenever you read a particular book, sometimes it is based on the narrator or in the first person, or it is in general where it is in the third person. Okay, next we have the theme, the central idea of the story. What is the story all about? Is it about friendship, adventure, love, or is it about happiness, joy? So these are just some themes. And then lastly, you have your symbolism. Any object, person, or situation, event, or action that has deeper meaning. So you identify what is the symbolism based on the given text. So these are the elements of a story which are also being used in the formalist approach. Now let's discuss structuralism. It is a method of interpreting and analyzing a literary piece that focuses on constructing ideas and show how they relate to the whole structure. It is a piece or a piece is open to interpretation. It depends on how the reader views the meaning on the text based on his or her understanding, which may involve personal belief, environment, behavior, or moral perception. Basically, structuralism is open for interpretation. So you have here the phrase open to interpretation, wherein you can interpret and analyze the story, which focuses on contrasting ideas and show how they relate to the whole structure. Okay, so for the structuralism approach, we have this particular example. You have here the nursery song Jack and Jill. You may think that it's a simple children's song about two characters who fetch water from a hill, but in structuralism, the song can be interpreted in different ways. So let's review again the nursery song Jack and Jill. You have here the lyrics. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after. So, first off, in the formalist approach, you list down the characters, the setting, the theme, and etc. So, in the formalist, when you read it in this particular approach, the characters are Jack and Jill. Basically, they went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. The conflict was Jack fell down and broke his crown, therefore also Jill came tumbling after. That is in formalist. But in structuralism approach, the song can be interpreted in different ways. So you have two interpretations here. You have here interpretation number one. We should be careful in all our actions or else we can drag others down with us. What does this mean? So you have here Jack fell down and broke his crown and Jill came tumbling after. So because Jack fell down, okay, therefore we should be careful in all our actions because we can drag others down with us. So Jill came tumbling after. Next, you have here interpretation number two, wherein Jack's crown may symbolize authority. Why? Because crown also relates to kings. It is basically a crown that you wear, right? So here, we can apply this to governance. If the ruler fails, it affects the people. So Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after. In a different particular perspective, since Jack fell down, basically Jack can be the king. He is the ruler, but because he fell down, it also means a failed governance. And Jill came tumbling after. Jill can also be represented to the people. So if the ruler fails, it affects the people. Now, let's have here your guided practice. On your module, you have it here, you have 5 items. I want you to identify what approach is used in the particular item. So you have here number 1, Ivan Dimitrich has been involved in brawls when he was young. What type of approach or literary approach was used in this particular item? Number 2, during 1800, merchants used to travel to distant places for trade. What type of literary approach is used? Number 3, the story tells us about how God gives justice to the oppressed. What literary approach was used here? Number 4, justice is about harmony. Revenge is making oneself feel better, but for some people, they are just the same. What literary approach is used here in this sentence? And number 5, Ivan's 25 years of imprisonment is not a wasted time of his life because his fate made him a better person even in the worst place on earth. Okay, so what type of literary approach was used in this particular sentence? Okay. All right, so if you're done answering, let's try to check. So, number 1, we have here formalist, correct. Number 2, we have again also formalist because you have here a particular setting. Number 3, also formalist because it also gives you already the plot. Number 4, it is structuralism. Yes, correct. Because it also talks about harmony. It gives different interpretation. And number 5, we have structuralism. Correct. Because also again, it gives a different interpretation. So 1, 2, 3, formalism or formalist approach. And 4, 5 is structuralism approach or structuralist approach. Okay. Okay, so at this part of the video, or basically on your module, you have your activities and your post-tests. Kindly answer them on your answer sheet. Then once you're done answering, please check the back page of your module. You have there your key answer. So check your answers if you got it right. Then don't forget to write down your scores on your score sheet. Then once you're done, please attach your answer sheet and your score sheet. I will be collecting both. Okay? So you have your activities and your post test. For your post test, I think I had your questions earlier on why because some of the modules it cannot be seen for your post test. So for your post test, the key answers are 1A, 2B, 3A, 4B, and 5A. Okay, so with that, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next module. Bye!